Elucia used to be an ordinary human, but one day, he suddenly finds himself reincarnated as a dragon egg, placed into the world without parents or protection. The first thing he sees is a screen, followed by a voice in his head informing him that his status window will display information about his abilities. While this seems useful, Elucia quickly realizes that hearing a voice inside his head is something he should probably be worried about. The voice explains that she is part of a skill called Divine Voice, and her role is to explain matters related to his status and abilities. When Elucia asks whether this world is some kind of game, the voice refuses to answer, explaining that the Divine Voice skill is only level 1. He then asks if she can at least tell him where he is, but once again she refuses to answer any questions unrelated to his status. Frustrated, Elucia becomes agitated, causing his egg to start rolling until it eventually falls off a cliff. By the time he finally stops, the system informs him that he has gained falling damage resistance, though it comes at a cost, as his HP drops by 1 point. Since he only has 5 HP total, this loss is significant. Elucia continues rolling and reaches the edge of a lake, where he sees his reflection for the first time in this world. That is when he realizes the truth. He is literally just an egg. The system confirms that he is a dragon egg monster, and if his shell is destroyed, he will die instantly. Elucia is already distressed, but things worsen when the system explains that dragon eggs are powerless and possess single-digit intelligence. At the moment, rolling is the only action available to him. While dragon eggs have the potential to become fearsome dragons once they hatch, the chances of surviving long enough to do so are extremely low. Elucia begins to panic, and his shaking causes him to roll down a slope and fall off another ledge, reducing his HP to 3. Realizing how close he is to death, he decides to stay completely still for the time being, as he cannot risk taking any more damage before nightfall. Eventually, his HP regenerates, allowing him to move again. He slowly rolls across the ground, thinking about what his life as an egg will be like. Being an egg is limiting, but Elucia knows that if he survives, he will eventually hatch into a dragon and gain immense power. From that moment on, he makes it his goal to survive. As he rolls through the forest, he encounters another creature. Moving closer, he identifies it as a dark worm, and according to its status screen, it carries the title Egg Eater. This immediately puts him in danger. Elucia rolls away as fast as he can, but the worm is faster, and simply fleeing will not save him. The dark worm has 8 hit points, which exceeds Elucia's maximum health, meaning any direct attack would result in his death. Remembering his fall damage resistance, Elucia formulates a plan. He lures the worm toward a nearby cliff and tricks it into falling with him. When they hit the ground, Elucia survives thanks to his resistance and the fact that he lands on the worm's body. The system then informs him that he has gained 12 experience points for killing the dark worm. As a result, he levels up and meets the requirements for evolution. The system presents him with an evolution tree and asks him to choose between the baby dragon path and the little dragon path. Elucia does not understand the difference, so the system explains that little dragons are a dwarf species of dragon. While smaller than most dragons, they can grow to the size of a bear and possess fire-breathing abilities. In contrast, baby dragons lack immediate strengths but have the potential to evolve into many different dragon species. Elucia considers his options. The little dragon appears to be the safer choice, but just as he is about to decide, he hears a different voice urging him to grow stronger and aim higher. This voice is distinct from the system and seems to be commenting on his evolution choice. While the little dragon offers safety, the baby dragon offers far greater long-term potential. Accepting the risk, Elucia chooses the baby dragon evolution. After evolving, his stats increase significantly, though his HP does not fully recover, meaning he still needs to rest. Soon after, Elucia's stomach begins to growl, and his attention drifts toward the dark worm's corpse. He realizes that his instincts are changing, as he would never have considered eating a worm before. With no other food options available, he eats it, confirming that his instincts as a dragon are taking over. The next morning, Elucia awakens fully healed, but he is still troubled by his circumstances. He does not know why he was reincarnated, who caused it, or who he was in his previous life. While he is certain he was once human, his memories are vague and unclear. Soon after, Elucia notices a group of dark worms approaching. Now that he is no longer an egg, he is able to fight back, defeating them one by one. The experience gained allows him to jump to level 3, unlocking Baby Fire Breath. He continues fighting, using this new ability to kill more worms, eventually reaching level 7, then level 15. As his strength grows, hunger sets in again. He considers eating more worms but finds them unappealing. Instead, he eats mushrooms he finds nearby, only to poison himself. Though he barely survives, he gains poison resistance. Still unwilling to eat worms, Ilusia searches for new prey, and soon encounters a gray wolf. Though the wolf is larger than him, its stats are lower. Ilusia attacks, killing it with fire punches. After inspecting the corpse, he realizes he can cook the meat with his flames. The cooked wolf meat becomes the best food he has eaten since arriving in this world. From then on, he hunts wolves regularly. By evening, Ilusia reaches level 20, though leveling slows as his strength increases. While his food situation improves, Ilusia feels isolated, as the system refuses to answer his personal questions. Soon after, he hears voices in the forest and investigates. He discovers a group of humans. Though approaching them is risky, Ilusia does not want to remain alone and decides to reveal himself. The moment the adventurers see him, they attack, knowing baby dragon meat is valuable. Unable to communicate, Ilusia is injured and stunned by magic. Just as they are about to finish him off, a healer named Miria intervenes and stops them. Miria uses the last of her MP to heal Ilusia. Though he regains mobility, he pretends to remain injured. By listening to her speech, he gains a language skill. Suddenly, screams echo from deeper in the forest. Ilusia realizes a powerful monster must be nearby. Though he tries to stop Miria, she does not understand and runs off. Ilusia follows and arrives to find a massive C-rank rock dragon with over 200 hit points. Normally, he would flee, but when he sees Miria collapse, he refuses to leave her behind. The rock dragon attacks, and Ilusia barely dodges, earning the title King of Evasion. Overwhelmed by fear, he hides briefly, only to see Miria still alive but gravely wounded. Realizing she will die if he does nothing, Ilusia charges the rock dragon despite the divine voice urging him to flee. He distracts the monster, shoving a fireball into its mouth, but it survives and begins regenerating. With no other choice, Ilusia carries Miria away, fighting off wolves along the way. When he reaches a village, humans attack him, mistaking him for a threat. Unable to convince them otherwise, Ilusia leaves Miria safely behind and flees, earning the title Itty Bitty Hero. Days later, Miria awakens in Marielle's home, learning that her companions Doze and Grants were killed. Haunted by guilt, she struggles with fragmented memories of what happened. After recovering from his injuries, Ilusia reflects on everything that has happened over the past few days. He thinks back to his battle with the rock dragon and realizes that, despite using his strongest attacks, his fire barely made a difference. What shocked him most was discovering that the rock dragon possessed the ability to regenerate its HP. That realization alone makes one thing clear. If he wants to survive in this world, he needs to become far stronger. That means evolving. To unlock his next evolution, Ilusia focuses entirely on reaching level 25. He devises a risky method to farm experience efficiently by capturing a dark worm and hanging it from a tree, using it as bait to lure other worms. When they rush in to help, Ilusia defeats them one by one. The system labels his tactic as Call Allies and grants him the title Wrongdoer. Ilusia knows what he's doing is morally questionable, but he accepts it for now, telling himself that once he grows stronger, he won't need to rely on tactics like this anymore. Eventually, Ilusia reaches level 25. The system announces that he is eligible for evolution and displays a new evolution tree in front of him. This time, he is presented with 5 distinct paths. The first option is Mini Dragon. According to the divine voice, this form possesses a small body similar to a little dragon, but its individual growth is slow and its immediate power is limited. While many of its later evolutions have strong potential, Ilusia is discouraged by how long it would take to reach that strength. The second option is Mini Angel Dragon. This dragon is born with a protective spirit and vows to live for the sake of others. It gains access to white magic and healing abilities, but in exchange, it avoids combat. Ilusia considers this briefly, remembering Miria's magic and how it saved lives, but ultimately rejects it. He enjoys fighting and knows he needs offensive power to survive. The third option is Kid Dragon. This form is a direct progression from Baby Dragon, offering improved physical abilities and combat potential without major drawbacks. It is a stable and balanced choice, one that would allow him to continue growing steadily. The fourth option is Kid Marble Dragon, a mutated dragon variant with enhanced magical aptitude. This form offers unique abilities and higher magic potential, but its long-term growth path is uncertain, making it a risky and unpredictable choice. The final option is Young Plague Dragon. This form marks the beginning of an evil dragon lineage, one that spreads disaster and corruption wherever it goes. Ilusia immediately recoils at the description. The idea of becoming a being that brings suffering to others deeply unsettles him, and he is ready to dismiss the option outright. However, the system continues listing its traits. Among them is exceptionally high intelligence and the ability to transform into a human. Ilusha freezes. He shouts that he has no desire to become an evil dragon, yet the idea of regaining a human form shakes him to his core. He imagines returning to villages, speaking to people, making connections again, but choosing that path would mean spreading disease and destruction wherever he goes. The very thought fills him with conflict. Each option represents a different future: power, restraint, sacrifice, corruption, or balance. Ilusha struggles to decide what kind of existence he wants in this world. He thinks about Miria, the humans he saved, and the monsters he has fought. He wonders whether becoming stronger will push him further away from humanity, or whether strength is the only way to protect others. Unable to reach a decision, Ilusha screams in frustration, staring at the evolution tree as the screen waits for his choice. Overwhelmed and uncertain, Ilusha shouts in frustration, unable to decide which evolution path to choose. He believes that becoming a young plague dragon is dangerous, yet he cannot ignore his desire for human transformation so he can see Miria again. He convinces himself that if he chooses the plague dragon and later unlocks human transformation, he can still live a righteous life. With that belief, he finally makes his decision and evolves into a young plague dragon. As the evolution takes place, his wings grow larger and his body color changes. The divine voice announces that the evolution has succeeded. Ilusha looks at his reflection in the water and immediately feels regret, as his appearance now looks far more intimidating than before. The divine voice informs him that view statistics has increased from level 2 to level 3, allowing him to see more detailed information about his abilities. The divine voice continues listing the results of the evolution. The divine voice skill itself rises to level 2. Ilusha gains the ability to fly, the skill Dragon Scale Dust, and Light Bite, which evolves into Venomous Fang. He also acquires the Dark Attribute, Sickly Breath, and Paralyzing Poison Claws. As the list continues, Ilusha grows increasingly uneasy. The divine voice then announces that he has received the titles Calamity and Miscreant. After leveling up to level 2, everything about his new power feels disturbing, yet he continues to believe that human transformation will justify the choice he made. Suddenly, the divine voice falls silent. Ilusha panics and asks where the human transformation skill is, but receives no response. He asks whether he must level up further to obtain it, and the divine voice replies that it cannot provide that information at the current level before disappearing. Ilusha becomes despondent. He has gained many dangerous abilities, yet failed to obtain the one thing he wanted most. He asks again about the true identity of the divine voice, but is told that this information cannot be revealed at his current level. He then requests explanations for his newly acquired skills. The divine voice explains that Dragon Scale Dust releases a powerful miasma whenever he flaps his wings, affecting all nearby life. At its highest level, a dragon with this skill can destroy entire nations simply by flying. Ilusha spreads his wings slightly, and the plant beside him withers and dies. Realizing the destructive nature of his existence, he falls into despair. The divine voice then explains Sickly Breath, an attack that spreads a miasma filled with highly contagious diseases. It states that this ability has previously led to the destruction of entire civilizations. Ilusha wonders if he can still return to a heroic path. He then asks about his titles, sensing they will heavily influence his future. The divine voice explains the title Baby Dragon Hero, which represents courage and may one day elevate him to hero status, strongly shaping his evolution path. Next is the title Infester, given to those who spread death and destruction. This title strengthens dark-type abilities, but makes learning holy magic significantly more difficult. Ilusha calls it the worst possible title, wishes he could discard it, and regrets his decision, longing to return to being an innocent baby dragon. Meanwhile, in the village, Miria asks Marielle whether the protective stones around the village will be inspected. Marielle confirms that they generate a barrier. Miria asks if this barrier prevents monsters from entering, and Marielle explains that it merely discourages monsters on a subconscious level, though stronger monsters can still pass through. Miria recalls the small dragon and wonders if he truly intended to help her. She asks Marielle to tell her more about monsters. The elf notes that Miria has been fixated on monsters since the incident. Miria admits she cannot shake the feeling that she was saved by a dragon in the forest. Marielle warns her not to grow emotionally attached to monsters and begins explaining their nature. She explains that monsters grow stronger by hunting and gaining experience, evolving into more powerful forms over time. Miria points out that humans also level up. Marielle agrees, but explains that monsters have different maximum levels. When they reach those limits, they evolve and repeat the process, becoming increasingly dangerous. Miria finds it hard to believe that people in the past understood this system. Marielle responds irritably, reminding her that she explained it years ago when Miria was still a child. Marielle then explains that certain individuals, such as heroes or saints, are able to hear the divine voice and receive information directly. This is how humanity learned about monsters. She continues by stating that monsters are driven by survival and the instinct to grow stronger. Even if the dragon saved Miria once, the next time they meet, he may have evolved into something hostile. Horrified, Miria begs Mariel to stop. Mariel tells her that monsters embody the instinct to fight and are fundamentally incompatible with humans, warning her not to place hope in them. Back with Alucia, he resolves to grow stronger and return to what he believes is the correct path, becoming a hero and reuniting with Miria. He searches for weaker monsters, but suddenly feels his body restrained. He realizes that threads have bound his limbs and that he has entered a spider's territory. The spider immediately attacks, firing webs without hesitation. In desperation, Alucia ignites his body in flames to melt the threads. He panics and rolls across the ground, but the system alerts him that he has acquired fire resistance, easing his fear slightly. He notices that the spider has taken some damage and is partially restrained. Taking advantage of this, he attacks with his claws, applying paralyzing poison and landing multiple blows. After checking his stats, he realizes he has only reduced the spider's HP by half. Knowing he cannot win, he chooses to retreat. He rolls away, but the spider pursues him. He attempts to fly, but his wings cannot yet support his weight. He tries repeatedly and fails, believing his level is still too low. After 10 minutes of non-stop pursuit, the spider shows no signs of slowing down. The system announces that roll has increased from level 2 to level 3, and he gains the title Chicken Runner. Spotting a cliff, Alucia considers his options. His flight ability remains unreliable, but he has no choice but to attempt the jump. At the last moment, his flight succeeds, allowing him to escape. Exhausted, he lands and turns back, believing the spider has given up. He promises himself that he will defeat her once he becomes stronger. However, he soon sees a bridge made of web, and the spider leaps in front of him, restarting the chase. His roll skill increases to level 4, but it offers little reassurance. By accident, Alucia runs over a lion, gaining experience. Due to his walking egg title, he rapidly levels from 1 to 3, then continues trampling smaller creatures until he reaches level 8. Feeling stronger, he analyzes the spider's abilities and discovers double poison. Uncertain of its effects, he attacks with baby breath at full power. The spider counters with poison, burning his throat despite his resistance. He realizes the spider is waiting for the poison to take effect, but it does not. Pretending to weaken, Alucia lures her closer and finishes her with baby breath and a downward strike. As a result, he levels up from 8 to 14. Though victorious, Alucia is deeply disappointed that he still has not obtained human transformation. Baby breath increases to level 3, and he gains Dragon Tail, but the transformation does not appear. He suspects there is still something he must learn. That night, he returns to the lion's body and discovers a cave. Finding no one inside, he eats the meat, improving its taste with fruit juice. Satisfied, he considers using the cave as a future base. The system grants him the title Chief Lord, making him uncomfortable. As he rests, he imagines interacting with villagers, then dismisses the thought after remembering his appearance. Angrily, he demands the human transformation, unwilling to accept a future of isolation. Meanwhile, in the village, Miria overhears an old man claiming he saw a strange figure near the lake. Though others dismiss the story, Miria is intrigued. Later, she tells Mariel and asks to search the forest. Mariel forbids it and instead promises to contact the guild. Miria apologizes, though Mariel remains uneasy. Back with Alucia, he encounters a slime-like monster and attempts to view its statistics. His vision distorts, and the system warns that view statistics at level 3 is insufficient. Having just reached level 4, he briefly sees the information before continuing on his journey. The slime suddenly lunges at the protagonist, but he reacts instantly, activating his rolling ability and fleeing the area. He manages to escape, yet he is left unsettled by what he just encountered. Its statistics revealed almost nothing, but more than that, he could sense that it was something he should never approach under any circumstances. Deciding not to dwell on it, he deliberately changes direction and continues deeper into the forest. While searching for meat, he notices a jar resting beside a tree. Thinking it could be useful for storing fruit or supplies, he reaches for it. Without warning, the jar springs to life, spinning violently and striking him in the face. Only then does he realize it is a monster. The divine voice identifies it as a D-rank turtle. He is stunned that a turtle can disguise itself as a jar. He immediately attacks with a dragon punch, but it only deals a single point of damage. He follows up with repeated attacks and eventually knocks the turtle over with his tail, only for it to activate rest and recover all of its HP instantly. Refusing to give up, he continues attacking until he suddenly wonders whether the turtle is an aquatic type. Acting on this idea, he throws it into the water. The turtle panics, and moments later he gains 36 experience points. Thanks to his title, he receives bonus experience and levels up from 14 to 15. He considers the fight finished, but the divine voice announces that he has gained the title Crook King and that his rogue title has increased from level 2 to level 3. As he turns around, he freezes. Several more turtles are gathered behind him. He quickly remembers the scream the previous turtle let out before falling into the water and realizes it must have called for help. The turtles stack themselves into a towering formation, advancing toward him. The protagonist takes to the air, grabs the top turtle, and slams it into the ground. He repeats this over and over until the entire group is defeated. Through this battle, he acquires the meteorite ability, exciting him as he realizes that certain actions can unlock new skills. Soon after, the divine voice announces that he has earned 594 experience points. With bonus experience from his titles, he surges from level 15 all the way to level 30. His flying skill increases from level 1 to level 2, and view statistics rises from level 4 to level 5. He is thrilled by the sudden growth, though disappointed when the turtle shells shatter and cannot be used as containers. Still, he has gained a large amount of meat and significant power. As the excitement fades, he begins thinking about balance in his diet and wonders where he can find vegetables. Despite evolving so much, he still has not obtained human transformation. With only 10 levels remaining before his next evolution, doubt creeps in as he questions whether the transformation will ever appear. At that moment, unfamiliar sounds echo through the forest, multiple footsteps approaching. Investigating, he encounters a monster unlike anything he has seen before. He attempts to view its statistics, but it is too far away, revealing only its species. The divine voice identifies it as a D-rank clay bear with an extremely high recovery rate. Since they share the same rank, he wonders if he has a chance of winning. He briefly questions whether it is truly a bear or simply clay-shaped like one, but dismisses the thought. What matters is that defeating it would give him clay he could freely mold into pots, jugs, and cups. He follows the bear quietly and launches a surprise attack from behind, striking with his fists. Instantly, the bear opens its mouth wide and nearly swallows him whole. He barely resists and realizes this creature behaves nothing like a normal bear. The bear presses forward, but he rolls to evade and counterattacks from behind, dropping its HP from 40 to 25. Confident, he assumes the fight will be simple, until the bear instantly regenerates. At that moment, he understands this battle will not be quick. He circles the bear, thinking carefully. Using meteorite is impossible while the bear is grounded, so he switches to a hit-and-run strategy, striking its back and retreating before it can counter. The bear continues to regenerate, but he believes victory will come once its MP is exhausted. Suddenly, the bear releases a thunderous roar that shakes the forest. A violent sandstorm forms, obscuring everything. When it clears, the bear reveals a new form, its body covered in sharp thorns. This transformation shakes his confidence. Rolling will now be far more dangerous. As he considers his options, he realizes his MP is running low. In that moment, the bear hurls a thorn at him. He narrowly dodges and notices something unusual. Acting on instinct, he tears off one of the bear's arms and confirms his suspicion. The clay softens once separated from the body. Using this insight, he compresses the clay into a sphere and heats it with meteorite, finally defeating the bear. The system announces that he has gained 300 experience points, and thanks to the walking egg title, he rises 3 levels. He also acquires a new skill called nutcracking. Though surprised by the name, he is relieved to finally have access to usable clay. Leaving it to cook, he heads back into the forest in search of food. He comes across unusual mushrooms, but discards them after learning they are poisonous. Soon after, he encounters a large plant that suddenly reacts and attacks him. The system warns that it is a rare carnivorous plant. While dangerous, it cannot tolerate salt, which he needs for cooking, so he takes it with him. The scene shifts to Maria walking through the forest. Although Marielle advised her to let the guild handle the investigation, guilt weighs heavily on her. A testimony from B, who claimed to see someone walking nearby, pushes her to search on her own. When a dark worm appears, she defeats it with a fireball and continues forward, more cautiously this time. Back with the dragon, he observes a D-rank mushroom monster. When fully grown, these creatures become mobile and aggressive, but their flavor resembles meat. He imagines how well it would work in a broth. Nearby, he discovers even rarer mushrooms, known as Morotrogia. These mushrooms have historically brought prosperity or ruin to nations due to their hallucinogenic effects. Ignoring their danger, he burns them and instead collects valuable piper's mushrooms, which are worth their weight in gold. Miria reaches the most dangerous part of the forest, but is overcome by fear and decides to turn back toward the village. Returning to the dragon's den, he prepares soup using a luminous mushroom. After adding salt, the dish finally tastes right, and the flavor reminds him of his former life. The system announces that his cook title has increased from level 1 to level 2. He notes that the small container makes eating difficult, so he plans to use clay to craft a larger bowl. He also begins making bricks for a wall, earning the title Potterist. The next morning, a carriage arrives near the forest. The coachman informs the passengers they have reached their destination. A human and a demi-human sent by the guild enter the forest. Meanwhile, back at the den, the dragon prepares meat by cutting and skinning wolves, seasoning them, and leaving them to dry. As he walks through the forest, he reflects on how accustomed he has become to this world. When he returns, he finds monkeys stealing his meat. He scares them off and devises a plan to stop them by mixing poison mushrooms into the food. He notes that he can now easily distinguish poisonous plants. Following flower petals carried by the wind, he arrives at a breathtaking clearing. Suddenly, a small and extremely rare creature appears. Viewing its statistics, he learns it is a poisonous princess, a species that relies entirely on poison-based abilities. Before he can react, it flees. A stake suddenly strikes the ground nearby, distracting him just long enough for the creature to attack. He reacts and takes flight, but it vanishes into the tree canopy, leaving behind a faint laugh. Assuming the threat has passed, he lowers his guard. Moments later, poison begins spreading through his body. His senses dull, his vision blurs, and he collapses, realizing too late that everything had unfolded exactly as the creature planned. His body feels unbearably heavy as the poison spreads. His breathing grows shallow, and his thoughts slow to a crawl. This poison is clearly far more lethal than anything he has encountered before. When he asks the divine voice whether this poison is different from ordinary poison, he is warned that such detailed information cannot be provided at his current level. Even so, he understands one thing clearly. If he stays still and does nothing, he will die. That fear forces his mind to stay sharp. He realizes the only way forward is to learn more about the creature that poisoned him. Calling for an appraisal, the divine voice responds, explaining that the monster is a D-rank venom princess. It describes her cruel hunting method. She poisons her prey, retreats, and waits until the poison takes full effect before returning to consume what remains. The divine voice continues, revealing that the venom princess produces her poison internally by ingesting highly toxic substances. However, it also reveals her greatest weakness. Her bodily fluids act as an antidote to the very poison she creates and are often used to negotiate for her life when captured. With that information, everything becomes clear. If he wants to survive, he must capture the venom princess alive. There is no other option. Thanks to his poison resistance, he can still move, though barely. Certain that she would not abandon poisoned prey, he activates his roll skill and forces himself forward. Just as he expected, the venom princess is nearby, rolling through the forest to keep him within sight. Suddenly, a clay stake slams into him. He is shocked to realize that she can attack even while rolling. Despite the pain and his blurring vision, he continues the chase. Then a memory flashes through his mind, the cliff he once used to escape the spider. As his roll skill rises from level 4 to level 5, he accelerates, convinced he can catch her now. She fires more stakes, but he presses on, knowing that while she may surpass him one day, for now he is still faster. He leaps forward and strikes her, sending her flying. For a moment, he thinks it is over, until he sees her trajectory leading toward the river. If she escapes, he will lose the antidote and die. He jumps after her, but the poison surges violently through his body, clouding his vision and weakening his limbs. Even so, he refuses to give up. Using the last of his strength, he unleashes baby breath midair, propelling them both back to solid ground. The instant they land, his body finally gives in, and he collapses unconscious. The scene shifts to Miria, returning to the village after another failed search. Once again, she has found nothing, and despair weighs heavily on her. Suddenly, she hears Marielle calling her name. Not wanting to be caught searching the forest again, she rushes to meet her. Marielle scolds her for not responding sooner, then admits she was worried after not seeing her for days and finding her house empty. Asked where she has been, Miria lies, saying she had a mild cold and went out for walks to recover. Marielle presses her, asking directly if she has been searching the forest. Miria denies it firmly, and with no proof otherwise, Marielle accepts her answer. She then explains that the guild has sent adventurers to investigate and urges Miria to leave the matter to them. Back in the forest, he slowly regains consciousness. The Venom Princess is sitting quietly in front of him. At first, he assumes she stayed to finish him off, believing the poison should have killed him by now. But as he moves, he realizes the pain is gone and his body feels lighter. He understands then that she gave him the antidote using her own bodily fluids. The realization hits him hard. After he risked his life to save her, she chose to save him in return. In that moment, a bond is formed. He brings her back to his cave and prepares a simple meal. As they eat together, a sense of comfort settles in. For the first time since arriving in this world, he does not feel alone. The loneliness he carried begins to fade. He briefly considers giving her a name, realizing that neither of them has one beyond their species, but decides it does not matter. What matters is that they understand each other. As the days pass, they grow closer and begin working together. They hunt as a team, learning how to coordinate their attacks. One thing still troubles him. She refuses normal food and seeks only poisonous plants. When she finds a foul-smelling toxic mushroom, he burns it with baby breath to stop her. She becomes upset and he immediately realizes his mistake. To her, poison is nourishment and strength. He promises to find more for her later. Before he can, a powerful presence blocks their path. A rare two-headed monster appears, radiating danger. Each head serves a different role. One focuses on physical attacks, the other on magic, including gravity manipulation. He hesitates, unsure if they can win, but after exchanging a glance, they silently agree to fight together. The plan is simple. He draws its attention while she poisons it. The battle begins. A gravity spell pins him to the ground, crushing his body and nearly breaking his resolve. Just as he is about to give up, the Venom Princess interrupts the spell with a poisoned stake. Freed, he launches himself into the air and attacks with baby breath, only to watch the monster regenerate instantly. Instead of panicking, he analyzes the fight and realizes that one head controls magic while the other handles physical combat. He charges again, deliberately allowing the physical head to bite him while he strikes the magic head directly. That opening is all the Venom Princess needs. She attacks and injects her poison. The monster tries to heal, but its HP continues to fall. Then, in a horrifying move, the physical head tears off the poisoned head to stop the spread. The severed head, still alive, turns and chases after the Venom Princess. Unable to follow, he faces the remaining head alone. Drawing on everything he has learned, he fights head-on and finishes it with his nutcracker technique. Panic floods him as he rushes to find her, fearing the worst. When he finally sees her, injured but alive, relief overwhelms him. The severed head attacks once more, and without hesitation, he destroys it with his bare hands. Holding her close, he realizes that he no longer cares about becoming human. All he wants is for her to be safe. At that moment, the system announces his stat increases, and then declares that he has acquired human transformation. He is left stunned. Back in the village, Miria and Marielle prepare to welcome the arriving adventurers. Miria wonders what kind of people they will be as the door opens. Deep in the forest, the two adventurers move carefully through the trees. Yuno questions Meltia's decision to accept a C-rank mission with just the two of them. It's a dangerous assignment, and they should have waited for the rest of their party. Meltia replies calmly that it's actually simpler this way. If things turn bad, they can retreat without worrying about protecting others. Yuno tells her not to joke like that. Meltia clarifies that although the request is ranked C, they are not here to hunt monsters. Their task is to search the forest, which makes it less dangerous than it sounds. Still, Yuno finds it strange that they are looking for someone who is most likely already dead. Earlier, they had arrived at Marielle's home. Meltia had pointed out that it's unusual to see an elf living among humans. Mia served them tea before Marielle asked her to step outside, explaining she didn't want her to overhear the mission details. Meltia asked about the target of their search. Marielle explained that his name is Doss, and that he was part of the party that fought the rock dragon alongside the girl they had just seen. As they head into the forest, Yuno recalls how intensely Mia had been watching them. Marielle had mentioned that Mia feels responsible for Doss's death and may have been sneaking into the forest alone to search for him. That's why this mission was requested, to confirm whether the rumors are true. Yuno concludes their goal is simple: search the forest and find proof that Doss is dead. Meltia agrees. If they find the body, that settles it. If not, they'll spend a few days hunting and return to report that nothing was found. Back at the cave, the plague dragon gently wraps the Venom Princess in healing herbs to speed her recovery. While she sleeps, he opens his menu to check her updated status. Human transformation is still there. He reflects that stepping outside to test it would be safer. If he transformed inside the cave, the lizard might panic. He starts walking, telling himself he's not heading toward the village to see Miria. He activates roll, then stops halfway. The truth hits him. He does want to go. He still can't believe he unlocked human transformation right after claiming he didn't need it. His thoughts spiral. What would he even do as a human? He doesn't want to abandon the Venom Princess, but the thought of living in a real village tempts him. He briefly imagines switching forms every few days, dividing his time between cave and village. That idea quickly falls apart. Even so, the possibility of earning human trust excites him. He wonders what he might look like. Handsome? Beautiful? He pictures himself staring at his reflection in the river. Finally, he activates human transformation. His body twists, bones shifting, flesh reforming. When it's over, he looks into the water and freezes. The form staring back at him is even more grotesque than his plague dragon body. He demands to know if this is really how human transformation is supposed to look. The divine voice responds that it cannot explain further at his current level. Frustration floods him. Worse, his attack and defense are cut in half and his mana drains rapidly. The transformation makes him weaker. Realizing it's useless in its current state, he reverts back, deeply disappointed. Elsewhere, the adventurers defeat a spider and continue moving. Meltia remarks she's glad they're handling this together. As night approaches, they admit they've found no trace of Doss. Yuno suggests he likely didn't venture this deep. The monsters here are too strong. Meltia considers turning back, but then they notice a cave. At the entrance stand two rough statues, one shaped like a dragon, the other resembling a human. Yuno wonders if it's some kind of shrine. Meltia doubts the village practices dragon worship, but both feel strong magic coming from the statues. Yuno, with his heightened senses, catches the smell of something pleasant. They step inside and discover hanging meat, glowing mushrooms lining the walls, animal skins, and a barrel filled with red fruit that resembles rare spice. Meltia wonders if it might be red gold. Yuno asks if they should take some, but Meltia refuses. This cave clearly belongs to someone powerful. Stealing could cause serious trouble. Suddenly, the Venom Princess appears at the entrance before slipping away. Yuno asks what it was. Meltia identifies it immediately. A poison princess. One bite could kill them. She orders him to leave at once. Outside, the dragon watches anxiously as the human knight and demi-human inspect his cave. He wonders what they thought of it. Should he approach? He knows they'll see him as a monster, but demi-humans exist in this world. Maybe if he transforms, they'll mistake him for one of them. He activates human transformation and steps toward them, intending a harmless greeting. From their perspective, though, the figure approaching is terrifying. Yuno prepares to strike, but Meltia stops him and dispels the transformation with magic. They recognize him for what he truly is, a plague dragon. Meltia orders Yuno to retreat immediately. Watching them run, the dragon feels the sting of rejection. Later, Yuno asks if they're being followed. Meltia says no, but admits plague dragons in this forest are a serious concern. Yuno suggests returning to report this, but Meltia decides they need more evidence. If they're going to investigate further, they'll need reinforcements. Yuno proposes summoning the rest of their party tomorrow. Back at the cave, the dragon collects meat, telling himself he's recovered from yesterday's disaster. He approaches the Venom Princess with a request. Monkeys have been stealing his dried meat, and he wants to poison it to teach them a lesson. He asks her to create something strong, colorless, and odorless. She prepares the poison without hesitation. He marvels at how invisible it is. He laces the meat and waits for hours. Eventually, he dozes off. When the monkeys arrive, one collapses instantly. The dragon leaps into action, declaring he'll end this for good. The monkeys fight as a team, but he and the Venom Princess coordinate better. She takes down two, and he finishes another. Then a piercing whistle cuts through the air. Their leader emerges, a massive orangutan-like monster of higher rank. Using view status, the dragon realizes the Alpha is equal to him in strength and can fortify his followers. He launches a fireball, but the smaller monkeys shield their leader with earth magic. Under the Alpha's support, they become faster and stronger. The Venom Princess defends him, but he's briefly restrained as the Alpha charges. She intercepts and is thrown aside. He breaks free but feels himself nearing his limit. He calls on the Divine Voice for information. The Alpha is a giant orangutan, a higher-ranked evolution that defeated the previous leader in battle. Among them, evolution through combat is sacred. They've mastered support magic to strengthen their clan. Realizing the Alpha can communicate telepathically, the dragon captures one monkey and attempts negotiation. He warns that the poisoned monkey will die unless the Venom Princess provides an antidote. In exchange, they should be allowed to leave. The Alpha refuses. They are too dangerous to ignore. The clan's law is clear. Eliminate the weak, even if it requires sacrifice. The dragon counters that if both sides fight to the end, neither will survive. The Alpha stands firm. Seeing no alternative, the dragon challenges him to a duel. The Alpha explains duels occur between clans, or when an Alpha is challenged. But if the dragon and the Venom Princess count as their own clan, the rules can apply. The dragon accepts. The Alpha agrees. To prevent interference, the Venom Princess is restrained. The two leaders face each other. The Alpha attacks first with crushing blows. The dragon defends, barely finding room to breathe. He uses roll to reposition, but the Alpha calls it dishonorable. Knowing he can't drag this out, the dragon leaps forward, striking with his tail and unleashing a flurry of punches that briefly stun the Alpha. Checking his status, he sees the Alpha still has a third of his HP left. The Alpha shifts tactics, channeling MP into agility. His speed increases dramatically. Fire fails to harm him, and one heavy blow knocks the dragon to the ground. The Alpha attacks from multiple angles. The dragon realizes he can't win a speed contest. He unleashes a thunderous roar and taunts the Alpha to fight face to face. Offended, the Alpha accepts. They charge, exchanging brutal strikes. Both grow exhausted. Finally, they commit to one last attack. The dragon's blow lands first, slamming the Alpha into the ground. He declares victory. But with his final strength, the Alpha strikes back, knocking the dragon down as well. Darkness creeps into his vision. As consciousness fades, he hears only the system announcing his achievements before everything goes black. A few hours later, he stirs, waking up disoriented and completely unsure of his surroundings. To his surprise, he's back inside the safety of the cave. As the fog clears, he pieces his memories together and recalls his hard-fought victory over the giant orangutan. A surge of excitement hits him as the reality of the win sinks in. Seeing the pleased look on the Venom Princess's face, he figures she must have been the one to carry his unconscious body back home. He shares a brief moment of celebration with her, deeply relieved that they both made it out in one piece. However, his relief is cut short when he notices a familiar group of monkeys, the same subordinates who serve the giant orangutan, watching him. His gut reaction is to brace for a revenge attack, but instead of baring their teeth, they start cheering wildly. It becomes clear that they now view him as their new leader. He pulls up his status screen and confirms his hunch. He's earned the clan boss title. By toppling their previous king, he has automatically inherited the throne. The Venom Princess immediately bristles with hostility toward the newcomers, but he quickly talks her down. He explains that having a crew of gophers could actually be a massive win for them. They can delegate all the tedious daily chores to the monkeys and finally catch a break. As he starts organizing his new workforce, the Venom Princess grows visibly jealous. He remains totally oblivious to her mood shift, far too caught up in the novelty of his new position. With the monkeys handling the heavy lifting, he suddenly finds himself with an abundance of free time. Not one to sit idle, he starts thinking about long-term survival. With so many new mouths to feed, they need a way to store larger food supplies, which means they need pottery. The next morning, he sets to work molding clay into pots. One monkey watches him with intense focus, and amused by the interest, he encourages the creature to observe his technique. He realizes their nimble fingers actually make them perfect for this kind of craft. After finishing a demo, he assigns a monkey named Ken to take over the ceramics department. Stepping outside for some air, he finds the Venom Princess trying her hand at making a pot. He casually teases her, noting that with those hands and legs, she probably won't get very far. She completely misinterprets the comment, turns bright red with embarrassment, and bolts. He's left standing there, scratching his head, wondering what he said to upset her. Though he can't help but notice she's been acting increasingly strange lately. Meanwhile, at a nearby diner, Malia and Yuno are killing time over drinks while waiting for the rest of their squad. When no one shows, worry starts to set in. Malia tries to play it cool, assuring Yuno that the others are likely just tied up with their current quest. Yuno isn't buying it. The trauma from their encounter with the plague dragon still haunts her. Malia doubles down on her reassurance, promising that they'll get to the bottom of things soon. The next morning, back at the cave, he wakes up feeling like he's pinned under a ton of bricks. Looking down, he sees the monkeys have used him as a giant mattress, sprawling all over him in a deep sleep. He tries to shake them off, but they won't budge, so he eventually just sighs and closes his eyes again. A few minutes later, a desperate whimpering wakes him up. One of the monkeys is collapsed on the floor, looking deathly ill. He immediately uses appraisal and is horrified to find the monkey has been poisoned by the Venom Princess. Fuming, he demands the antidote. She stubbornly looks away at first, but after he gets firm with her, she finally gives in and hands it over. He treats the monkey, watching as it slowly stabilizes. Once the dust settles, he asks her why she would do something so cruel. She eventually admits that she felt pushed aside ever since the monkeys arrived, missing the one-on-one attention she used to get. Realizing he's been a bit of a neglectful partner, he apologizes and suggests a hunting date for just the two of them the following day to make amends. This immediately cheers her up. Elsewhere, Maria is growing restless. It's been days since the adventurers went into the forest with no word back. Fearing the worst, she decides she can't sit around waiting any longer and heads into the woods to find them herself. The next day, he and the Venom Princess head out for their date. He's in high spirits, enjoying the fresh air, but the Venom Princess looks like a storm cloud. The reason? He brought the monkeys along. To him, they're just extra muscle. To her, they're third and fourth and fifth wheels. Disappointed, she stalks off ahead of the group. Suddenly, she senses a threat just as two forest wolves pounce from the brush. He prepares for a standard skirmish, but before he can even blink, the monkeys swarm the wolves with surgical precision, ending the fight in seconds. The victory leaves the duo standing there with nothing to do, making the Venom Princess feel even more redundant than before. Meanwhile, Maria has wandered much deeper into the forest than she planned. The dense trees and unfamiliar sounds start to weigh on her, and she considers turning back. Just then, she spots a figure in the distance that looks like him. She calls out and follows, but before she can reach him, she runs smack into a terrifying, overwhelming creature. She freezes, paralyzed by pure primal fear. At the same time, he is walking back with the Venom Princess, finally picking up on her frustration. He explains that while he has responsibilities as the boss, he truly values her. He promises that their next outing will be strictly no monkeys allowed. Overjoyed, she tackles him with excited licks, finally getting the affection she craved. Their moment is shattered by a blood-curdling scream. He recognizes the voice instantly. It's Maria. Without a second thought, he shakes off the Venom Princess and starts rolling toward the sound at top speed. She tries to keep up, but her rolling skill is too low. She hits a rock, tumbles, and loses over half her health. He stops just long enough to make sure she's alive, reassures her of his feelings, and then guns it toward Maria. He arrives just as three wolves are closing in for the kill, slamming one into the dirt with a heavy impact. He positions himself as a shield in front of Maria. The divine voice chimes in, identifying them as Maha wolves, pack hunters that use a third eye to share vision and coordinate attacks. Even though they're ranked as standard monsters, he can feel a bizarre, powerful aura coming off them. The wolves lunge in a synchronized strike, but he counters with a blast of baby breath, turning one to ash instantly. When the other two try a pincer move, he meets them with his fists, shutting them down for good. He tries to approach Maria slowly, but she's understandably petrified, cowering against a tree. Then she remembers the dragon that saved her before and realizes this is the same guardian. Trembling, she stands up and tries to communicate. Seeing that he's there to protect her, her fear turns to trust. But the danger isn't over. More Maha wolves are circling in the shadows. He signals for her to get on his back, and she doesn't hesitate. With Maria safely mounted, he braces himself to plow through the pack and ride to safety. Meanwhile, Marielle begins to notice that Miria has been gone far longer than usual. At first, she assumes the girl is nearby, but after asking around and checking the usual places without finding her, unease begins to settle in. She finds Grigori and immediately starts searching with him. They check the outskirts of the village and the nearby fields, but after a long search with no results, Marielle's expression turns grave. There is only one explanation left. Miria has returned to the forest to search for Doss. Even knowing how dangerous that choice is, Marielle cannot ignore it. She cares too deeply about Miria to leave her alone in such a deadly place. She firmly tells Gregory that she is going into the forest to find her. Gregory offers to come along, but Marielle refuses and instructs him to stay behind in case Miria somehow makes her way back to the village. At the same time, the rest of the adventuring party finally arrives. They gather around Yuno to hear his report. As he describes the strange cave, the overwhelming magical pressure, and the appearance of the plague dragon, the mood shifts. Tension spreads through the group. Some of the adventurers hesitate, quietly questioning whether they are truly prepared to face something of that level. Sensing their uncertainty, Meltia steps forward. She reminds them that danger is part of the path they chose. They became adventurers, knowing they would face powerful monsters. Her steady words prevent the group's morale from collapsing. Deep in the forest, Elusia is sprinting at full speed with Miria clinging tightly to his back. His thoughts race as he searches for a way out of their situation. When he spots a narrow valley ahead, an idea forms quickly. The tight terrain could restrict the Maha wolves' movement and give him a better chance to fight instead of continuing to run. Once they reach the valley, he carefully sets Miria down in a sheltered spot and turns to face the wolves. Drawing on his Plague Dragon abilities, he unleashes a powerful attack and eliminates 3 Maha wolves in quick succession. Despite the efficient victory, he gains no experience. His stats are already maxed, leaving no room for growth through ordinary battles. With the immediate danger cleared, he lifts Miria again and continues moving through the forest. As he runs, conflicted thoughts flood his mind. Part of him considers returning her to the village immediately, but he fears repeating past mistakes. If he reveals himself again, he could be injured or even killed. The frustration weighs on him heavily, especially because he still cannot fully understand what Miria is saying. Then, without warning, Miria wraps her arms tightly around him. Her voice is soft and emotional. Though he cannot grasp every word, her meaning is unmistakable. She is thanking him. At that very moment, the divine voice echoes in his mind. He has met the requirements for his next evolution. A list of possible paths appears before him. He reviews them carefully, but one decision comes easily. He refuses to continue down the plague dragon route. If he evolves further in that direction, his appearance and aura will only grow more frightening. If that happens, Miria may never be able to approach him without fear. Another option draws his attention: Dark Drago Human, a demi-human evolution. At first, the name excites him. It sounds as though it might grant a fully human form, but he restrains his expectations. Something that convenient is unlikely to come without drawbacks. He continues examining the remaining choices. Most are either too sinister or too weak. The only other option that genuinely interests him is the Little Arc Dragon, which grants flight and white magic. The ability to fly is extremely tempting. However, the word little makes him hesitate. Choosing a smaller branch might limit his future development. Unable to decide immediately, he postpones the evolution. Miria tugs at him, signaling that she is thirsty. They arrive at a waterfall and stop so she can drink. While she kneels by the water, he continues weighing his options. From a practical standpoint, enhanced rolling speed or flight seem to be the safest choices. Out of curiosity, he asks Miria what she thinks he should become. As expected, she does not understand his words. She replies with phrases that initially sound meaningless to him. But as she continues speaking, something changes. Certain words begin to make sense. His language comprehension skill has improved. He clearly hears her introduce herself as Miria. Both of them brighten with excitement. He can finally understand her, even if only partially. Overjoyed, they splash water at each other and laugh in the river. As they spend more time together, his language skill steadily increases. By the end of the day, he can understand most of what she says, though responding properly remains difficult. Miria explains that she entered the forest searching for her comrade Doss. As she speaks, she gradually realizes that Illusia is the same dragon who saved her before. Overcome with emotion, she hugs him tightly. The warmth of her embrace fills him with a deep sense of comfort. In his heart, he quietly apologizes to the Venom Princess. He has made his choice. He selects the demi-human evolution so he can remain by Miria's side. After some time, Miria looks at him curiously and asks his name. He realizes he does not have one. After thinking carefully and failing to come up with anything meaningful, he gestures for her to choose a name instead. Miria reflects on everything he has done, his bravery, strength, and kindness. After a moment of thought, she names him Illusia. The divine voice appears and asks him to confirm the name Illusia, warning that it cannot be changed once accepted. Since Miria gave it to him, it feels right. He confirms it. From that moment forward, he is officially Illusia. He barely has time to appreciate it before heavy, thunderous footsteps echo through the forest. Illusia instantly recognizes the sound. He quickly lifts Miria onto his back and begins running. His first instinct is to get her safely to the village before searching for Doss. But before that, he must deal with the wolves still chasing them. The Maha wolves refuse to give up. They surround Illusia and Miria from all sides. Then Illusia notices something disturbing. Doss is leading the pack. His face looks pale and unsteady. Miria recognizes him immediately and demands to know what he is doing with so many monsters. Illusia checks Doss's status and notices something unsettling. Doss has no visible stats at all. Miria runs toward Doss, but a wolf lunges at her. Illusia blocks the attack just in time. Miria retaliates with a fireball, knocking Doss to the ground. As he falls, Illusia sees that Doss is clutching something tightly, a lump of dirt he guards as if it were priceless. Then the thunderous footsteps sound again. Doss suddenly turns and runs toward the village. Miria quickly realizes the truth. The dirt is not dirt at all. It is a rock dragon egg. Doss intends to use it as bait so the rock dragon will follow and destroy the village while retrieving it. The footsteps they hear must belong to the approaching rock dragon. There is no time to waste. Illusia must return the egg. He sprints toward the village with Miria on his back, but the Maha wolves are still pursuing them. He knows they cannot reach the village safely unless he deals with the wolves first. Miria tells him to leave her behind so she can fight while he saves the village. He refuses. Leaving her would mean sending her to certain death. Instead, he sets her down, gathers every ounce of strength he has left, and defeats the remaining Maha wolves. During the fight, Miria is scratched by one of them. After confirming her injury is minor, she urges him to hurry and save everyone. He nods and runs. Meanwhile, Gregory hears a massive roar from the forest while returning from a hunt. Marielle continues searching deep within the woods. Yuno and Meltia are still investigating, unaware of the true danger unfolding. Ahead of them all, Das races toward the village, the rock dragon steadily following behind him. And from a distance, a small blue slime watches silently as chaos begins to unfold. As Illusia carries Miria on his back, he glances behind him and feels a wave of relief. Her injuries don't look too serious. With a little recovery magic, she should be able to take care of herself, but instead of using the last of her magic on herself, Miria gathers every bit of energy she has left and uses it to heal Illusia's wounds. That moment tells him everything he needs to know about her. Miria truly is a kind person. Meanwhile, Gregory stands near the edge of the forest when he suddenly comes face to face with a Maha wolf. He steadies his spear and refuses to step back. The wolf lunges forward, but Gregory reacts instantly, driving his spear straight through it in a single clean strike. The wolf collapses on top of him. He shoves the heavy body aside and starts to stand, only to see Illusia looming over him. Gregory immediately recognizes the shape of a plague dragon. Without hesitation, he raises his spear again, ready to fight. But before anything can happen, Miria steps forward and tells him to stop. She explains that Illusia isn't like the plague dragons he's heard about. Gregory studies the dragon more carefully, and the realization hits him. This is the same young dragon who saved Miria before. Slowly, he lowers his spear and apologizes to Illusia for raising his weapon and for the way he treated him in the past. Illusia feels relieved seeing Gregory come around. Miria quickly explains the situation. She tells Gregory how Das plans to use the rock dragon's egg as bait to lure the rock dragon straight to their village. Gregory listens closely and immediately understands how serious the danger is. Without wasting time, he asks Illusia if he can climb onto his back. Illusia agrees. Back in the village, Das walks calmly through the fields. The villagers are stunned to see him alive, completely unaware of what he's planning. Their confusion only grows when Miria and Gregory arrive riding on the back of a plague dragon. In the distance, the roar of the rock dragon grows louder and louder. Gregory knows time is running out. He quickly explains the plan. He and Illusia will confront the rock dragon directly. Miria will stay behind and help evacuate the villagers since she's injured and shouldn't be in the middle of the fight. Illusia agrees immediately. His reason is simple. He doesn't want Miria anywhere near danger. Miria isn't happy about staying behind while they handle everything, but she understands. In her current condition, she'd only slow them down. Reluctantly, she accepts the plan and lets them go. As Gregory rides on Illusia's back, he says something that clearly means a lot to the dragon. When all of this is over, Gregory promises to introduce Illusia to the villagers properly. He wants everyone to know that Illusia is their ally. Hearing that, something stirs inside Illusia. This is what he's always wanted, to live peacefully among humans and be accepted instead of feared. And now, on top of that, he might even be recognized as a hero. It almost feels too good to believe. Back in the village, Das has already started causing chaos. He moves through the streets with his sword drawn, killing several animals and even attacking one of the villagers. The people around him are frozen in confusion. This is the same man who disappeared not long ago, and now he's returned like this. Gregory and Illusia arrive, adding even more confusion. The villagers can't understand why Gregory is riding on a plague dragon. Gregory shouts for everyone to calm down and listen. He tells them Illusia isn't their enemy. He's there to help. Before anyone can fully process what he's saying, the ground begins to shake. The rock dragon is getting closer. Gregory immediately orders everyone to run as far away as possible. The villagers scatter in every direction. Everyone runs, except for a small boy named Jean, who stays hidden behind a crate. Das suddenly charges Gregory and lands a heavy strike that knocks him backward. Illusia steps in and easily overpowers Das. For a moment, he has the perfect opportunity to end the fight right there. But he hesitates. Killing a human, no matter what that person has done, would only reinforce the image of him as a monster. Instead, he knocks Das unconscious. Watching this, Gregory's final doubts disappear. Illusia truly is exactly who Miria said he was. Illusia turns toward the rock dragon egg. He needs to secure it before the dragon arrives. But suddenly, Das opens his eyes again. Illusia looks at him uneasily. Something feels wrong. When he checks Das's status, he sees something strange. Das's level matches that of the Maha wolves. That's not normal for a human. Before Illusia can process it further, Das spots Jean hiding behind the crate. He grabs the boy and pulls him in front of him, pressing a sword against his throat. Then something even stranger happens. Das opens his mouth and a slime-like tentacle shoots out, launching him instantly to the top of a nearby water tower. Illusia watches in disbelief. Between the abnormal stats and that strange ability, it's clear now, Das isn't just a man anymore. Moments later, the rock dragon bursts out of the forest. Standing atop the tower, Das holds the egg over the edge, ready to destroy it. Ilusha launches forward as fast as he can. At the last second, Das throws Jean off the tower. Ilusha has to make a choice. He changes direction immediately and dives to catch Jean before he hits the ground. He saves the boy, but at that same moment, Das jumps down and smashes the egg against the ground, shattering it completely. The rock dragon sees the broken egg and loses control. It unleashes a deafening roar and begins stomping the ground with terrifying force. When the dust settles, Ilusha is still shielding Jean beneath him. He slowly lifts his head and looks toward the rock dragon. His heart sinks. This is the worst possible outcome. He blames himself. If he had finished Das earlier, none of this would have happened. He glances toward Das again and pauses. The man is standing there, moving his arms in a strange rhythm. Before Ilusha can understand what he's doing, the rock dragon crushes Das beneath its foot, killing him instantly. Ilusha stares for a moment, then forces himself to focus. The real threat is still standing in front of him. He turns to Gregory and tells him to take Jean and get everyone to safety. Ilusha will stay behind and face the rock dragon alone. Gregory takes Jean without arguing. But before leaving, he looks Ilusha straight in the eye and tells him one thing clearly. Dying isn't an option. Ilusha nods and turns back toward the rock dragon. It's stronger than anything he's ever faced. That much is obvious, but running away isn't something he's willing to do. Even if he can't defeat it, he can buy enough time for everyone else to escape. And that's reason enough to fight. Ilusha charges forward and throws everything he has at the dragon. Every skill, every attack, every bit of strength he can muster. None of it makes much of a difference. The rock dragon barely reacts. The hits Ilusha takes in return are devastating. The dragon towers over him, ready to deliver a finishing blow. Then Gregory returns, this time with a group of adventurers right behind him. They join the fight and stand beside Ilusha. For a moment, it works. Their combined effort manages to pierce one of the rock dragon's eyes, and it feels like the tide might finally be turning. But it doesn't last. The rock dragon unleashes a powerful attack that overwhelms them all. One by one, the adventurers are knocked back, too injured and exhausted to keep fighting. Ilusha stands there, searching desperately for a solution. Then the divine voice speaks. It announces that it has reached level 4 and advises him to run away. Leave now and survive. The voice admits it already knows he won't listen, but it says it anyway. Ilusha tells it to stop. That advice isn't helping. He thinks quickly. The only real chance he has left is to evolve into a stronger form. The system begins listing the possibilities. If he evolves into a little arc dragon, his chance of victory is only 4%. If he evolves into Jormungand, the probability of ending the battle in a draw rises to 98%, but the village would still be destroyed. Ilusha rejects both choices. Surviving means nothing if everyone else dies. The final option is the rolling dragon. His chance of defeating the rock dragon is less than 1%, but his chance of escaping jumps to over 99%. Ilusha lets out a long roar of frustration. Every path the system shows him leads somewhere he refuses to go.